Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a collab with Blue Pickles. She is a really cool artist here on YouTube, and we decided to do a collab of drawing our favorite book characters. And my favorite book character is actually Keith, but I've been drawing Keith a lot, so I decided to draw Tam, because Tam is like my second favorite, and I don't think I've ever drawn him at all. So Tam is from the Keeper of the Lost City series, and he is actually like my second favorite character. And as you can see, he actually has something coming out of his hand, and he's a shade in the books. So I wanted to do him like doing some shadow flux, like shadows coming out of his hand. So I know half of you guys probably haven't read the Keeper of the Lost City series, so if you haven't, just come along for the ride to watch me draw this and talk about a story. The story will obviously probably be Keeper of the Lost Cities, but I'm not going to talk about it the whole time. I am going to talk about like the drawing in upcoming videos too, so stick around for that too. And I'll have Blue Pickles part of the collab in the description, so after you guys are done watching this video, you could go over to her video. But if you guys have read Keeper of the Lost Cities, who is your favorite character and why are they your favorite character? So I decided to use a thinner outliner than usual because I just wanted it to be like thinner lines, because you're not going to really be able to see them anyways, because I am using like darker grays and stuff, because he is mostly like in grays and blacks. There was a whole crazy story behind this, because when me and Blue Pickles first wanted to do a collab, I first did this drawing. And I was like super proud of it because it turned out, but then the paper was like super messy and stuff, and I couldn't erase it because it was like after you erase so many times, you can't. So without realizing this, I did the original drawing on like the back side of my live stream drawings that I didn't like at all. Like I did not like those drawings at all. So then I was like, I really don't like these drawings, so I don't care if the bleed through hits the paper. But then I didn't remember, oh, my other drawings on the back side, because I didn't know that. So then I let it bleed through because I just didn't like those drawings at all, and I was just like, I don't care if they're ruined. So when I went to do the collab video, I was like, oh no, I've actually bled through 2 pages. And that was very annoying because I really liked how the hand looked and how everything looked. So then I was like, I'm just going to get my flashlight and transfer it to another piece of paper. And that's exactly what I did. But it actually worked out in my favor a little, because actually there's no erase lines, there's no like pencil lines that I couldn't erase. It's actually like pretty clean and looks like a nice drawing now. Thank you Blue Pickles for collabing with me. I actually had a really fun time drawing my favorite book character, or my second favorite book character, but I had a really good time drawing Tam. I just kind of wish his color palette was a little bit more colorful, but that's alright of course, because it was fun to experiment with all of the different grays and blacks. I started with a really light gray sorta. It was like a medium gray, but then I wanted to build up to like a darker gray, but I wanted it to be like a smooth blending, so then I just was like super light, and then I was going to build it up that way. So I didn't want to just use like one tone of gray, like cool grays or warm grays, so I decided to use both, to give it like a good mix of both, so it could give it some contrast. I also added some blue, and then I also added some brown, just to give it a little more color, so it wasn't just like all gray. Anybody who has read the books, I did mess up on his eyes on accident because I thought his eyes were blue, but his eyes aren't blue, they're gray. So I did on accident do his eyes blue, but I do think his eyes look good as blue, but they're supposed to be gray. Here's where I added the brown, because like the inside of his cape is brown, but the outside is like black. So I just showed like part of the inside of the cape was brown. And if you guys like sketchbook tours, I'm going to be doing my 12th sketchbook tour next week. I actually don't think I posted a sketchbook tour in a very long time, so this will be like my first sketchbook tour in a while. But if you guys haven't read Keeper of the Lost Cities but you read books, what's your favorite book or book series? So here's where I did the shadows on Tam's hand, but I didn't want them to look like everything else, but I also didn't want them to look like too light, because shadows obviously aren't going to be like a super light color. Here's where I started doing Tam's hair, but he has like silver tips on the edges of his hair, so I was kind of like confused on how I could portray that in a drawing. So at first, I just leave the tips of his hair white, because I'm like trying to figure out, should I blend it, should I do a fade, what should I do? So you'll have to see what I do in just a minute, because it's actually pretty cool. So Tam's shirt just turned out to be darker than I intended because I was using that gray to like set down the darkest gray. But I was going to get a lighter gray to blend it out. But then that didn't work out because I got a really light gray that was like lighter than the original gray. And it like left splotches. So then I had to go over the whole shirt in a darker gray. Shading his pants was probably the easiest thing because I didn't really need to blend it out too much because it kind of just like blended with the other colors. So I just kind of left it like that and then added like a darker, harsher shadow. But then I added a little bit of shadows to the inside of the cape because obviously that would have a shadow too. So I just did some simple shading in there. So if Tam is touching shadows, his hands are not going to be like completely clean with nothing black on them. He's going to have like some black on his hands from like touching the shadows. So on accident, I got some gray on his hands and then a little bit of black on his fingers. So then I was thinking, it actually goes perfect because his hands aren't going to be completely clean, so it goes perfect. So I didn't even need to try to fix it because it went pretty well. So Tam has really pale skin, so I didn't want to add too much shading to where it makes his skin like appear darker. So I decided to just put a little blush and then blend it out with the same skin tone so it didn't make it too dark. So later on I put a background behind Tam so it doesn't just look like a drawing with nothing really on it because it kind of looked a little bland in my opinion, so I was like, I'll put a background on it. So you guys will see that a little bit later. And here's where I did his blue eye that's supposed to be silver. I actually do think his blue eye looks good, but it's just not supposed to be blue, it's supposed to be silver. So next time I do draw Tam, I'm going to make sure I do it silver. I couldn't figure out what to do for Tam's hair because I wanted it to be silver, not like light gray. So I got my silver Sharpie and then like did the little streaks. So I laid down the Sharpie and then I would just like kind of pull it up with my fingers. I would like make it smudge and that's what it looks like. But then I do go back over the lines. So the lines are pretty clean, but you can still see like the silver under them. So I was going to do like a yellow border, but then I thought that really doesn't match Tam at all, so I decided to do like a cool blue background, and I actually like how it turned out. I might have gotten too light of a blue because I had to go over it like several times just to get it like a flat color. So I had to go over it like so many times, so next time I will probably do like a darker blue. And if you guys haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we're only 95 subscribers away from 3,000. And thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel recently and just commenting on the videos, and thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and thank you guys so much for watching to the end, and thank you Blue Pickles for doing a collab with me.